everyone, it's Katie and I'm here to talk about the solar eclipse in Gemini today. So we've recently come through the lunar eclipse phase. We are in the midst of Mercury retrograde, and now it is time for the solar eclipse tomorrow on Thursday. So with the lunar eclipse, hopefully we have released something by now. Let go of some old beliefs, some old things we held to be true, an old direction we were going in, an old future goal as well. And now that we're Mercury retrograde, hopefully, you guys are all kind of chilling out a bit, not making big decisions yet, but doing a lot of reflecting, doing some thinking, doing some processing, but not forcing yourself to need to have clarity, not forcing the need to have information or to make a decision. We are still in the retrograde mode. But interestingly enough, tomorrow we have this solar eclipse, which marks a big new beginning. And you might feel this energy of the new beginning, but because Mercury is retrograde, I think it's really going to kick into gear whatever your new beginning is right now when Mercury goes direct. So towards the end of July, I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, it goes direct. Of June, sorry. sooner than you think. Mercury retrograde. Have any of you guys experienced this? Like replacing words or something during Mercury retrograde? I feel like it's not just miscommunication or technology being weird, but also just like saying the wrong thing. That happens a lot. Anyway, so 22nd, 23rd of June, Mercury goes direct. And at that point, we will be ready, for decisions because of Mercury going direct, but also that solar eclipse can now really kick into motion. So whatever is truly our new beginning, we can start going along that path. And I do think this energy will pick up more in July, because Mercury needs time to pick up the speed. So while at that very end of June, you can make big decisions, you can move forward. Some people might need some time for the energy to pick up, so maybe a little bit further on in the summer. But the new beginning though, while some external events might not happen yet, while we can't quite make decisions yet, the new beginning is here all of a sudden, and I think it's going to be like a mental shift. The eclipse season we're in is very mental, and the eclipse in Gemini is very mental. It is the sign that rules the mind and communication and these sorts of things. So I think now we're ready for a new mindset, and this new mindset will help with whatever decisions and new beginnings we're having down the road. So we're ready to think differently. We've let go of these old beliefs, old truths, and now with a more open mind, with more curiosity, with more willingness to learn new information, we can, have a new beginning in our mind already, where we're just, in a better space. We're not holding on to these old mental patterns and beliefs that weren't serving us. We're open-minded, we're ready for the info. We're curious, and so that is very important. It is very important to be at that space mentally right now. And because it's so mental, and then Mercury retrograde is in Gemini, which is so mental, I do think the decision-making factor is going to be very big here quite soon, when Mercury goes direct. I always say Mercury going direct can coincide with big decisions anyways, but with all this Gemini energy, I think that will be what it is. And the decision could even be kind of vague because it's Gemini. It could be like, well, I'm not going to cling on to that one path anymore. I'm deciding to be open to a few different things or something. So it could be something like that. But I think the mental energy being so strong, people are going to, make decisions. They're going to, based on all the facts they've been gathering through this retrograde that even maybe the solar eclipse brings you, I think people will be making choices, and the solar eclipse might bring information. It really could. It might bring that Gemini energy of new pieces of information, important communication. So I would look out for potential communications or bits of information right now. The solar eclipse is happening at 19 degrees Gemini, so the sun and moon, but it's a degree away from Mercury retrograde at 20 degrees of Gemini. And Mercury knows going backwards, so it's almost like running into the eclipse, if that makes sense. So that's really interesting. And I do think it makes it a very important day of the retrograde. So there might be interesting information coming up. You know, you're still not ready. I would say don't jump to being ready to make decisions yet, but you might get interesting information. You really might. Or whatever you're pondering around the eclipse really might be important. So pay attention to what you're thinking, pay attention to information that comes in. But know that you still might not have the full picture, and it's not quite time to make decisions, but it still might be a very important, interesting day of the retrograde that kind of changes your direction, even though you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. I think it's a very important step. Yeah, and it does just show Mercury retrograde being so near the eclipse. It's like, yeah, we're having a new beginning. Yeah, this eclipse opens up a new path. But it's a retrograde. It's reminding us that it's retrograde. So it's like there's a new beginning, but it's caught up in this time of review. So, you know, don't get excited. But like I said, it also brings this air of like destiny and important information to the retrograde. So that's why it might be a very important day of the retrograde. Maybe at the point of the eclipse, we have a lot of information. We need to make new decisions or for a new path. It's just we're not there yet, but we might be at a point of the most information we're going to get, or yeah, just something important. Regardless, it's a big time mentally, and I would say your thoughts are very important right now. I will say that it is really important to watch your thinking, because I do think that there is a new beginning happening in your mind. Mentally, there already is a new beginning, regardless of the fact, you know, the physical part of things might not be there yet. In your mind, there is a new beginning. So you need to like get your thoughts in a good place. Make sure you're not holding on to those old thought patterns. Like, get your thoughts in the new place of what you want to see next in your life, what you want to manifest. You know, believe it's possible. Get your thoughts in a positive space. Don't, you know, limit yourself. We don't want lack thinking. We don't want negative thinking. We don't want despair thinking. You know, we want, since this is a new beginning in our minds, we want to think positive. We want to think big, you know, optimistic about what's possible, what we would like to create, because we are moving towards something new, and it can happen right now in our mind. So it really is extremely important to get your thoughts, you know, in a good place right now. Not a time, you know, for bad thought patterns. The eclipse was about releasing those. So yeah, so if you have, you know, at the time of watching this, you know, maybe right before the eclipse, maybe the day of the eclipse, probably most of you will watch this, check in with yourself. Be like, am I currently thinking things that are old beliefs and old truths? Because now is the time to like change it, you know, change it now. Use that moment to shift your thinking into the new possibilities, into being open, into good thought patterns, and away from negative thought patterns, old beliefs, truths, stuff like that. And I will say that Sag energy that we've moved away from, beliefs and truths often come from other people. They so often can come from our upbringing, the certain society we were brought up in, you know, like wherever we live in the world, there's a certain society, there's certain people perhaps you went to school with, that you tended to grow up with, just hang out around, and there may have been certain beliefs or truths about how you should live your life based on the certain type of society you grew up in and based on your upbringing. You know, your parents may have instilled their political or religious beliefs on you, or just beliefs on life that perhaps aren't your own. So often these beliefs and truths come from elsewhere. They could come from watching something on TV, watching the news, being swayed by your friend groups, or perhaps people in your workplace tend to believe a certain way. Whatever it is, it is time. We kind of are exiting the release phase, but I am saying check in now. If you didn't do the release, like it's time to shift right now. Check in and see, are you holding on to anything that isn't yours? Because Gemini now is about being the student, learning. You know, Gemini can be about school. It's just like you don't know anything, but you're curious. So be open-minded right now. Right now is not the time to cling on to what other people, you know, are telling you should believe, or in the past have taught you to believe, or to conform like that. Like, be a student in life and be open, you know, to what's possible and where you're going next, because I really think everybody's new beginning and a new decision you will make for your life is based on having a new mindset that is open. And yeah, so really I would just throw out any belief or truth that you really are positive, like not positive, that you really resonate, you know, because some people have beliefs in their upbringing that weren't bad, that they still really resonate, but you need to check in with yourself, you know, check in with what you're thinking and really check in with what you believe from the past. Be like, and do I just so strongly cling to this because, you know, my family always believed that, or just everyone around me believes that? Do I even believe that? And even if it's not a strong yes or no, even if it's kind of like, I'm not sure, that's kind of a sign that, you know, if it's not a strong yes and it's not resonating with your heart, it doesn't make you feel good, you don't feel like it's positive mentally, it probably is something you should consider, you know, not clinging on to, you know. So very mental time, so important to check in with the mind, because that is where the new beginning is starting right now. And I do believe a lot of people have big life changes and decisions, you know, varying degrees for everybody, but something, you know, some decisions, some little change, path change, after Mercury goes direct. And it is because of Mercury going direct and this eclipse. So we will kind of have a delayed outer world response to this eclipse, but it is happening in our mind right now. So what else do I have to say? Well, with Mercury kind of running into the sun and the moon, let's think about these three planets working together during the eclipse. So we have the mind, which is in like review mode. And then we got the sun, like our core self, our light. And then we got the moon, our emotions. So maybe there's a moment, this is interesting because again, there's a new beginning happening in your mind. There's a moment when our mind, our core self, our essence, and our feelings are aligned. So at that moment of alignment, you know, what does that change for you? What does that change about what you want? And so, yeah, there might be this alignment that's going on. It's so internal and it changes everything down the road. You know, you get to this moment where like your head, what you feel emotionally, your core self, who you are, all just align and are like, yes, this is what we're thinking now. We have changed, you know, something inside of you may have changed, and it's just a domino effect about how that impacts your outer world life later on. So yeah, just some interesting thoughts. And then there are no huge aspects going on around the eclipse other than that. But I will mention a little one. I've been doing this sometimes when I see an asteroid exactly aligned with a planet. So it has to be exact for me to bring it up. And during something big like an eclipse, but it's happening again. We had this with the lunar eclipse. I believe it's Pallas Athene and Neptune were exactly aligned. Well, this eclipse, we've got Uranus and Taurus and Ceres exactly aligned at 12 degrees Taurus. So there's something interesting happening there because it's happening at the eclipse. I think it's significant. So Ceres is an asteroid. It is a pretty big asteroid. I wonder if it's a minor planet now. I'm not sure. Some of the asteroids now are like discovered to be like minor planets. Ceres might be because this is pretty big. I don't know. Anyways, regardless, Ceres is a bit more important than some of the other asteroids. That's what I'm trying to say. And it has to do with what we nurture. It's the mothering energy, kind of. And then Uranus about change and freedom. And Taurus, This is our foundation. This is the seeds we plant. It's the first earth sign. So it's the very beginning physical stages of something. So I think in the background here, it's like we're nurturing these seeds of something very new, like of a big change. Like there's a big change that either we've made or are going to make. And right now we're like nurturing the seeds for that change and what that is going to bring for us. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of element of change and both like nurturing like seeds of something new happening in the background. So that bodes well with all this energy, showing change is coming, that we're kind of almost nurturing this change we're going to make because it's a seed we're planting right now, and the outer world, you know, thing will happen later. Perhaps you've created the very foundations of it, and even though it's retrograde, you know, all of that, like tending to those very beginnings of something is very important, is a big part of this new beginning. So don't underestimate like the little things or nurturing something at the very beginning stages. So that was something else I had wanted to bring up. Another thing that sort of stood out for me was that Mars will be at 29 degrees of Cancer at the time of the eclipse. And now 0 degrees and 29 degrees are very important in astrology, 0 being the beginning of a sign, 29 the end. So Mars is in Cancer at 29 degrees. This shows me there's like an end of something at this new beginning point of the eclipse. And it's emotional. So while you're switching your thinking, while you're getting ready for big changes, decisions, path changes, there's a change, a letting go, the end of a chapter maybe. 29 is kind of, it's just like the end of something. I don't know if it necessarily involves like purging and release and stuff, but you've kind of done that with the lunar eclipse. It's just a moving on to a new sign, a new energy. So there's a moving on from like an old emotional direction. Something that in the past we may have emotionally clung to that made us feel comfortable and good. So we might be moving out of our comfort zone. That might be something, and into having to be very open to new things we're not used to, the Gemini energy. So do keep in mind that 29 degrees, that we're moving into a new chapter, that there's an end of an emotional chapter, something we used to be driven towards and something that used to feel safe, a comfort zone for sure. So there's that as well. And I think that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So I hope all of this made sense to you, and that this eclipse goes well for you, and that whatever changes are coming soon in your life are really positive. And yeah, just remember to keep nurturing the, you know, what you have already started. Really watch your thoughts and your thinking. Know the new beginning is happening in your mind, and just keep moving forward. Let go of the past, you know. It's time to just keep doing the new stuff now. So I'd say prior to this, Mercury retrograde may have been about reviewing things you were releasing, since we were in the lunar eclipse phase. Now we're reviewing what we're building, new things that we're moving towards. So it is more focused on the new, even the retrograde and the, you know, thinking part of the retrograde. So yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and a wonderful solar eclipse.